Last year, Ed Sheeran was accused of copying somebody else's music. Fortunately for him, he was found not guilty. Today, we are considering a much older copyright dispute. The defendant is a priest in Jerusalem who lived in the 6th century BC. For legal reasons, we shall call him by the letter P. P is the final author of the story of Noah, part of which we heard today. However, his is not the first flood story. About 1,000 years earlier, a Mesopotamian scribe named Sinlikiuni, or something like that, wrote a saga called Gilgamesh. This too includes a story of a great flood. P's defence is that although his isn't the first flood story, nonetheless it's original because he has refashioned the saga for a very different purpose. In Gilgamesh, the gods send a flood because human beings are just too noisy. Those with rowdy teenage children may have some sympathy for that. In contrast, in P's story, the flood is not a response to loud parties, but it's sent as a result of human evil. Actually, P is using his story of Noah to comment on issues of his own day. For decades, prophets had been warning the nation that they had got their values wrong. The poor are oppressed. The immigrant, widow and orphan are denied their rights. P uses Noah's flood as a symbol of what's happening to Judah in his day. In 597 BC, the Babylonian army floods into Judah, destroying all before it. Jerusalem and its temple is burned to the ground. The Book of Kings relates the ethnic cleansing that follows. The Babylonians carried all Jerusalem into exile. All the nobles and all the notables, 10,000 of these were exiled. All the blacksmiths and metalworks, only the poorest people were left behind. We also hear of the grisly fate of the last king of Judah. Judah, like the victims of the flood, is suffering the consequences of its evil ways. However, the twist in P's story is that total destruction as a way of confronting evil doesn't work. What makes P not guilty of breaking copyright is his vital punchline. Never again shall all living things be destroyed. Today, when we hear the Prime Minister of modern Israel declaring that Hamas must be totally crushed, we know we're dealing with the same issue. P reminds us that a policy to exterminate those we consider wicked doesn't work. It's like cutting down a weed but leaving the roots untouched. It's a policy which only deals with symptoms but doesn't address the underlying causes. In the New Testament, we are shown a better way. Mark begins his Gospel with Jesus entering the wilderness to prepare himself for his struggle against evil. Jesus must have been tempted to go for a quick fix. He could have identified Rome as the source of all evil and raised an army to completely destroy that empire. Instead, Jesus chooses the way of transformation rather than decimation. Let's change the imagery. Consider a water purification plant. Here, dirty, polluted water flows in. But after treatment, pure, clear water gushes out. This is the way the cross and resurrection work. Christ soaks up our hatred, our woes, our evil, transforms them, and then from the cross pours out his pure, undiluted love over the world. Moreover, every time we celebrate the cross and resurrection in the Mass, the same transforming power is released. The 5th century Pope, Leo the Great, saw Lent as a time to share in this cosmic battle against the powers of evil. Satan, says Leo, is raging against us. But we must thirst for Christ. Then, through us, the Lord can flood the world with the waters of righteousness. In his Lent sermon, Leo writes, "In this season, let plans for vengeance fall. Rather, let works of justice be our delight." Amen.